Okay, if we could please, it's 6:40 and we're in our regular scheduled meeting right now. Mary, if you would do call to order, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Here.
Mr. Lopez?
Here.
Mr. Hennis?
Here,
Mr. Wright?
Here.
And Ms. Harrington? Here.
if we could all stand please for the pledge of allegiance and followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I thank you there. First up this evening is item A, which is to adopt the agenda. If I could get a motion, please, to approve the agenda as presented.
I move. I second.
Motion by Taylor and second by Joe. Any other questions? If not, Mary, we'll call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Ms. Harrington? Yes.
Also before you, you have minutes from May 3rd and 17th as presented. If there's draft minutes as presented, if there's not any changes or additions to those minutes, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes of May 3rd and May 17th as presented.
I move.
Second.
Taylor moved. There's a second by Kelly. Any other questions or discussions on that? If not, Mary, vote please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Ms. Harrington? Yes.
Dr. Bell,
Yes, sir.
you're up, please.
Yes. So I'd like to, one, make sure that the public knows and I and the board is aware. I've asked them not to entertain my performance pay, as you've seen on the agenda for 5A today. Currently, we've got some unfinished business still pending in public. I think it's important that we bring whatever those issues are to a close. I'm very confident that nothing that is pending is a part of my performance pay plan. It's really important that I share that, but I think that once all things are resolved, if the board so chooses to entertain the performance plan, I would recommend that they do at that time. So thank you very much, Mr. Hennis. That's the statement that I have.
Thank you. Anything else in our superintendent's report?
Yes. Sorry.
That's all right.
To close out the school year, there's several things wonderful things that happened. We graduated kids. How about that?
Yes, we did.
That's what we're here to do. And so I'm very excited. The both performances were amazing. Our parents, our kids, our students. It was just really a wonderful thing to see that we were able to have our graduation ceremonies once again outdoors. And we were able to celebrate the milestone of graduates in our district. So that's one thing. A few things I'd like to run off because it's very important. We have at Vista a number of kiddos that made the all-region baseball team, our robotics team. They have created opportunities for, it's called 3D printed roses during the month of May. They gave to in celebration of Mother's Day. So there's a lot of community service opportunities that our kids are involved in, regardless of the program. There was also a senior sunset barbecue. We remember those experiences when graduates are trying to close down and keep them engaged and remembering all the 4 years they've had. The student council sponsored a teacher's luncheon, which was during the week at the high school, at Union High School. We want to just always acknowledge how wonderful our teachers are, and our student council did the same. The National Honor Society food drive, again, not only helping kids in our district, but also in the community. The AP Psychology had a guest speaker, the attorney, Kent Bowman, spoke at the, thank you very much for the correction, spoke at Vista. It was their AP Psych class. So they understand the connection of learning and also the community business support. Black Canyon All-Region softball team, what fun that was. I was able to see a game at Vista and also a baseball game for the playoffs and one thing. Physical science created an energy projects, again, preparing for the future. So they're involved in there and seeing how learning can be meaningful. There's a National School Nurses Day. So we were able to recognize our nurses for all the wonderful things. And again, we cannot forget, we just came out of COVID. So they were double duty. Key Club end of the year awards. There was a student council banquet, which was absolutely wonderful to see. The Arizona Technical Skills Assessment Certificate, our biotechnology science 3 students, they passed that test, and I want to make sure I acknowledge Lisa Miller, if she's still here. Yay, there she is. The students in our CTE finished with fine form. Once again, we appreciate your leadership. Thank you. She played an integral role too with the partnerships of the businesses that we have. She's my right-hand partner. We make sure that we align the CTE credentials along with our high school teachers' credentials as well as our dual credit credentials. So we're doing some creative things right now with the community colleges, and I thank you for your creative mind. You're welcome. As far as the 4A conference, again, we have the state baseball team. We are looking forward to many more of those next year. Our GSA club donated funds to the food bank. Again, not thinking about ourselves, but actually thinking a lot about others. Then we had our Cougar Friends. There were some things happening with our ESS students and with our special ed. Our kids really took hold of them, our big high school kids with our little people. Let's see. Freshman Success, Lisa Dimmers, Annie Hunter, and Jennifer Portson taught their students how to tie a tie, an important life skill that goes along with being in hired, right? I got 4 boys, and I'm the one that only knows how to do that. So Hughes O'Brien Youth Leadership Seminar, and almost done. Girl State Representatives, that's huge in the month of May. We had a number of kids represented there, as well as the Boy State reps. And then the graduation powwow. If you haven't gone to that, I drove back up here on a Saturday. And thank you, Marilyn, for sharing that experience with me. It was phenomenal. And next year, we hope that it expands even more. And with that said, I want to acknowledge, if I might, Marilyn Garner, who has decided to retire. And she's going to do some great things with her family in what state? Michigan. So I couldn't have her commute, unfortunately. But we did talk about the
There's
opportunity.
always Zoom.
Yes, that's a good idea. So we did talk about that, hopefully that period of time, the support is needed. We hope will be temporary. Whenever, if she decides to come back this way, then she's going to give us the first look first, because she's done some great things for our district. So I want to commend you and thank you for your service. Thank you. That's all I have.
You were going to touch base on the safety.
Oh, thank you, my apologies, yes. So, as we all know, unfortunately, in our world, and then of course, close to home in our schools, there have been some unfortunate circumstances that have occurred in schools. And more recently in Texas and then a few other things, hospitals and such. We have a responsibility as educational leaders to make sure we have a system of support in place. Of course, we do our best to be prepared. Not all things are the same, but I can tell you that we are planning to increase our level of support in the areas of our emergency action plan and our crisis assessment, which is central to our social emotional learning. And we already started that with active shooter training at both campuses and with the support of the local PD and fire who gave us an evaluation. And then also we've met at least once a month with the crisis team led by the psychologists and the social workers. And then the emergency action plans, you will find that there will be tiered opportunities of training. Not only we've already had lockdown learning from our teachers, but now it will be with kids next quarter, and then we'll advance each quarter with more training. I've asked our principals when they return, they're going to give you a very detailed system of what we're planning to do to ensure our campuses are more safe. And they look forward to doing that with the principal and assistant principal athletics.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Just especially in kind of conversations, the board has expressed extreme concern over some of the issues that have transpired lately. Thank you very much. Dr. Bell, override update?
Yes, sir. Actually, Gina Salazar is going to provide that, and Dr. Strong will be official with us in July.
Good evening, President Hennis, Growing Board members, Dr. Bell. I have provided you a packet of the override, and it has a timeline of when we need to have things done. Right now, we are on track with everything. And I've also provided examples. We have the fact sheet in there. So our pro statement review and study session, we plan on doing that at the special meeting that we're going to have 28 June when we do the proposed budget. So we'll be talking about that. And then during the July budget meeting, the July meeting, we will be taking action. We need a joint pro statement from the board at that time. We will also be posting an affidavit at the sites and on our website for asking the public for pros and cons statements on the override. And we ask that they have everything turned into us by August 8th because everything has to be turned into the elections department by the 10th or to the county of August. We will also be designing a fact sheet that, and I can provide an example of that as well. This year, we're going to make it a little more appealing to the eye. Instead of just having words, we'll have graphics on there as well, just to catch the attention of everybody. And we'll have palm cards that's going to have facts on it that we can pass out at events. So we plan on having, like when we have our football games, volleyball games, we'll have people out there passing out these fact sheets. And it will go to Gus Rosenfeld for them to look over and make sure that what we're doing is legal and we're not saying anything that we shouldn't be saying. We will also be finalizing our voter pamphlet, and Dr. Strong has recently talked with Gus Rosenfeld to do some minor changes, final adjustments before we get that out. And then we'll be having our POs in place for anything that's needed, like for translation services, for printing services, and the election itself. But we are on time with everything at this point, and you have the timeline of what we need to have everything done by.
Gina, thank you very much. And this is a continuation of an override that's been in place for
Correct.
years, for,
Correct.
I mean, essentially decades. Yes, so it's a continuation, and most of it goes to sustain current programs and to increase teacher and staff compensation. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then we also have our AP program, athletics, and retaining qualified staff.
It has to be defined within the pamphlet of what it goes for, because you cannot spend those monies.
Correct. And everything will be outlined in the pamphlet.
Okay, any other questions for Gina? Really appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are down to item 4, which is a call to the public. I have one from Steve Hayes. David, would you read the public content,
Yes.
if you would, please?
Absolutely.
Steve, you can come on forward if you'd like to.
Pursuant to ARS 38-40, 231.01H, the governing board may make an open call to the public during a public meeting, subject to reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions to allow individuals to address the board on any issues within jurisdiction of the governing board. After an open call to the public, individual members of the board may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the board, may ask the staff to review a matter, or may ask that the matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the board shall not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. During the open call, the board requests that speakers refrain from voicing complaints against school personnel or any person connected with the district, as it may impact due process rights. Policies KE, KEB, KEC, and KED are provided by the board for disposition of legitimate complaints, including those involving individuals.
Thank you. And Steve, we usually give about 3 minutes. Is the correct amount of time that we offer here. So you are up, and so please begin if you would.
I want to just thank you for the time and for allowing me to speak for you today. Initially, I was going to speak to and then maybe ask some questions regarding a previous agenda item that's since been removed from what I understand. So I'll try and stay away from that. But what I would like to say is that I've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to members of the community. I've even had conversations with various teachers, and out of respect to legalities and different things like that, I won't get into specifics or anything like that. But I'll just keep it simply that you've got a problem on your hands. probably a significant and serious problem that could potentially open the district to lawsuits. And that's not something that I take pleasure in and wanting to say, but it's the reality of your situation. Because I've been privileged to see things from various individuals that I'm sure you've probably seen already or will be seeing. Maybe some things that you haven't, and it's concerning to say the least. There seems to be a common thing. And if I were in your shoes, I'd be giving some serious thought as to how to address these problems. As I said in an email once to this body, where there's smoke, there's fire, and right now you've got a lot of smoke, and you should be seriously thinking about how you're going to put this fire out before everything's gone. Thank you.
Thank you, we appreciate your time and your comments. We are down to item 5A was already tabled. We're down to item B, data processing service program agreement.
Just briefly, I'll have, and Jean, you may come up here, please.
Up here?
Yes. She's gonna.
Take a spot.
Right, right there.
There you go. Yeah, she will, yeah. She will go over a few
Wherever
of these
you're
things that are on the agenda in case you have questions, but moreover, this is what we have in place with Canal County, and they help us with this, so it's an annual agreement.
Tina, this is our annual data service with Pinal County, correct?
That's correct.
This is a consortium of the group that we're part of, and we just renew it on an annual basis.
That is correct. So they just help us, obviously they process our payrolls, and then they also offer support for our vision software, which is our financial software that we use.
Any other questions for Gina on that?
I make a motion, we approve the annual data processing service program agreement
I'll
as
second.
presented.
There's a motion by Chuck and a second by Taylor. Any other questions? If not, Mary will call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And thank you. And we're down to item, this fiscal year that is approved the 2023 cabinet intergovernmental agreement. That's an annual basis also, Gina, is that correct?
That is correct.
And we have a fantastic, we were very fortunate to have Cabot in a relationship with Cabot that's grown and continues to grow. And obviously it'll be, you know, with the relationships we're creating with the community, Cabot feeds right into a lot of that also. So is there a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 Cabot intergovernmental agreement as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve it as presented.
I'll second it.
Kelly moved and Taylor second. Any other questions? If not, Mary, we'll go ahead and call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
This next one looks like it could be fun. Yes, that's the cooling tower.
Yep.
So right now, that's, it's an RFP strictly for to put it out on the street.
Correct. We're just asking for permission, letting you know that we need to go for RFP, and it's a $1.2 million job. And SFOD is taking care of that for us. They will be paying the cost of that. We plan on having it complete probably April or May of '23.
Let's get the state flush with money right now. You might as well, if you get stuff fixed, you don't have to do it.
They
They don't want to seem to part with it.
Yeah, I want to get it. I make a motion that we approve the request for a proposal BG cooling tower as presented.
I'll second it.
There's a motion by Chuck and a second by Taylor. Any other questions or discussion on that? If not, Mary, we'll go ahead and call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
You have before you a motion to approve the date change for a July regular meeting for the July regular meeting to July 12th and the August meeting to August 9th. Before you, need a motion to accept that if we can, please, for what folks are
I'll
in
make a
town.
motion to change the dates. as
Second.
presented.
Kelly moved and a second by Chuck. Vote.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
We're down to one of the better parts of the evening, donations presented. We've got couple of multiple here, if somebody'd like to make a motion on the donations.
I make a motion, we accept the donations of $250 from Robert Miller, Edward Jones to Union and Boys Tennis Club for tennis team, 20 cases of water from Millicent Mills to CGUHS graduation software program, more than sad preventing teen suicide valued at $60 from the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, $200 from Lizaraga donation to Hopi for student to attend.
Thank you. We have a motion by Chuck. Is there a second on that, please?
I'll second.
Taylor seconded, and obviously with our thanks to all those making donations. We'll go ahead and Mary, call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
We are down to item 6, which is our consent agenda. We have items A through G.
Make a motion that we accept A through G in their entirety.
I'll second it.
There's a motion by Chuck and a second by Taylor to accept items A through G in the consent agenda. We'll go ahead and call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kirby?
Yes.
Mr. Lopez?
Yes.
Mr. Hennis?
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
And Mrs. Harrington?
Yes.
And with that, 7:01, and we are adjourned. Marilyn, thank you very much. What's the weather like in Michigan right now?
Oh, probably beautiful and balmy. Probably humid though.
And the mosquitoes?
As big as birds.
That's where
Oh, we got mosquitoes here too.
That's where, I don't think they're the same size as Michigan's mosquitoes. They have their own,
They
they
carry you off.
have to have a tail number, don't they?
Exactly.
Anyway, we are adjourned. We thank everybody for being here this evening and have a fun, cool summer.
Thank you.
Yeah.